Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is Austin here, bringing you guys a TVP match here on Cloud Kingdom. At the bottom left position, we have our Red Terran player, Western Wolf Sting, formerly of New Star Hoseo, which is a Korean team. He is Korean by birth and is an up-and-coming Terran player. His opponent, the ever-notorious Blue Protoss at the top right, Grubby, who's under sole sponsorship, or Team Grubby as he calls it. He was a notable Warcraft 3 player. He's Dutch and transitioned over to StarCraft 2, bringing a lot of his fame over with him, but not as much of a success. Yet this tournament seemed to be a first for him. He was able to reach the finals. This is IEM Singapore, and it is Game 3 entering which Sting led 2-0. So this game definitely important for Grubby. It is a best-of-5 series. Should he lose this, the entire tournament will go to his opponent Sting. Before this finals match, Grubby defeated Slivko, the Russian powerhouse Zerg, 3-2, and notably, SK's MC, the Korean Protoss star, arguably the best Protoss player in the history of the game, or most successful overall. MC having 2 GSLs under his belt and a GSL final this year. He was able to win one of the open seasons, and then in the middle of 2011 captured another. I think maybe it was GSL March or May, I don't remember, but that's just to say Grubby was able to upset a fantastic player in PvP, which can be quite a volatile matchup. I did not watch that particular series. I did follow this tournament. Sadly, at that time, I wasn't unable to watch it game for game, so I don't know the actual results of this entire every little game. So this is coming to me as much of a surprise as it is to you, which I enjoy doing in commentary. Sometimes I will have to ruin the result for myself in checking which particular game it is on Wikipedia. If I want to know if it's Game 4, who is leading entering this, what series is it from, what exact round of the tournament is it from, then I will sometimes have to ruin the result. But I don't find it too terrible if I do so, because it's still pretty interesting to see how it got to that result. Sometimes we'll be in the middle of a cast in which one player's way farther ahead than his opponent, and then I will have in the back of my mind the knowledge that his opponent ends up winning, and it makes it even more interesting. But I don't like ruining games for my audience. That's the point of commentating, right? We all enjoy the surprises of it. Sting getting an orbital command in his main, but no signs of an expansion. Grubby seems to be playing a one-gate fast expand style, except without the fast expand as of yet. Sting getting that command center, so he will be playing off of 2 bases. At least he hopes to do so. We'll have to see whether or not Grubby decides to throw down a Nexus. Sting just keeping his SCV patrolling his opponent's base. He wants to know where Grubby is going with this. There's going to be a pylon in the corner of his base. Quite interesting. Will Sting be able to spot this? Because that could allude to a Dark Shrine or Twilight Council. He does see the pylon, so now he'll just kind of take that piece of information with a grain of salt and say, alright, Grubby has put a pylon in the corner of his base. Either he's playing crazy mind games with me like Sase would, or he's putting down a Twilight Council, because Grubby is putting down a Twilight Council, ladies and gentlemen. We could be seeing some Dark Shrine play, and if Sting interprets this correctly, he could have something of a hint. I was trying to come up with there's some specific word for that, but he has a hutch, or he has a cinch. I don't know what it means. There's just this one word escaping me, but that matters not. You understand what I mean. He kind of has foresight, should he read this particular build order correctly. Will he be able to get an SCV scout in his opponent's base? It seems quite doubtful, as this SCV will die to the particle disruptors of the stock. I always need to check weapon names, because in my line of work, we don't exactly need to know the name of every single one of them. Grubby, interestingly, throwing down 2 more gateways and a robotics facility. He's researching Blink, so no Dark Shrine. I was saying, oh, well, if Sting reads it right, it's going to be a Dark Shrine. If Sting reads it right, it's going to be a Dark Shrine. And it turns out that I'm not even reading it right. And Grubby's just going for fast Blink play that we saw in our last TVP matchup between Hero and Tasia, where Hero rolled his opponent with some marvelous control. Let's see if Grubby's able to do the same, chronoing out this Blink, or at least he was. A Dark Shrine would have been interesting, but I don't know whether or not he had his heart set on Blink from the beginning, or it's a possibility that he saw Sting notice his pylon and say, alright, well, why don't I play a little bit of mind games and fake the Dark Shrine almost, or taunt my opponent into thinking I'm going Dark Shrine. A lot of mind games are played in StarCraft 2. Sometimes you'll go for a Roach Feint. I forget the player, I think it was Root Slush who popularized that tactic, where you fake out your opponent into believing that you have mass roaches, when in reality you don't, and you end up teching up. There's also my personal favorite spell, the Hallucination, from the Sentry, which can completely confuse your opponent. That's why StarCraft 2 is not exactly about reactionary play. It's about when you're at this high, when you're at such a high level as Grubby and Sting. It's all about interpreting information and attempting to predict what is to come of that structure or upgrade, or well, if you just see something researching, right? Grubby very nicely microing his stalkers here as I'm rambling on, forcing his opponent to try to hunker down. It doesn't seem like Sting will even do so. He doesn't have his siege tech yet. Grubby's able to blink into his opponent's main. He has a hefty 7 stalkers here, and is able to blink them all out without even losing one. So as I was saying before, at this level of play, it is how you interpret certain, how you read certain clues, such as if you see something researching, you might not know exactly what it is. If it's at the Twilight Council, could it be charge? Could it be blink, right? So yeah, making those small reads is essential in any good pro gamer. Sting torn between his main and his natural, as Grubby making use of the classic Aesop moral of his story with the wolf and the cows, where united we stand, divided we fall, as he's splitting up his opponent's forces quite well. Although he is 11 behind in supply, he's able to blink up beautifully onto this cliff here, sniping 2 siege tanks in the process. Sting constantly forced to pull away his siege tanks and SCVs. That is what I like to call a very, very solid use of blink. Grubby also getting a nexus over here at his natural. He's going to head into his opponent's second base and snipe off a total of 12 workers in the game. I don't know how many he got in that particular engagement, losing 1 stalker there. Let's look at our units lost. 2,025 to 1,325. Grubby edging his opponent out by 700 resources, although I would not say edging his opponent out, as that is quite a significant advantage. Siege tanks caught on siege. Look at Grubby playing this phenomenally. The siege tank only able to get 1 shot off on Zealot, but then a huge round off on all these stalkers, though they only suffered shields damage and no health damage, except possibly this orange stalker might have suffered some damage. Another shot there punishing them. This tank racking up 3 kills total and possibly saving Sting's life so far, or at least keeping him alive for the time being. There's another nice shot here from Sting. Another one's able to land, but he will lose that siege tank. And I don't know whether or not Sting is going to go all in with the forces he has left here, or whether or not he would try to fend off. Either way, this game is Grubby's because of his fantastic, innovative play. Let's check his APM. Sting's is over 300. Grubby's only at around 200. Not only, I only ever dream of breaking maybe 80 APM, but Grubby pushing 200. It kind of reminds me of Whiterun in a way, just a very innovative Protoss player. He doesn't need to have high APM, he just has intelligent build orders and harassment strategies, like Grubby's classic War Prism style drop. I don't know if he created it or popularized it when he drops the sentries in the main of Zerg and force fields off the ramp. Just those small tactics like that allow him to win games in which he's economically behind. Sting still trying to fend off, but Grubby repeatedly blinking in and just completely tormenting his opponent. Our worker count at the moment is at 35 probes to 24 SCVs. Grubby has an expansion under his belt. He's kept Sting totally bottled up, so even if this siege is finally broken by our Korean Terran player, it will matter very little, as Grubby has forged out a significant economic advantage at this point. And so I have to say, Sting's only option, and he seems to agree with me, is to go all in with what he has left, pulling all of his workers except a rare, lucky few. Possibly not even lucky, as they might be slaughtered by these stalkers. But I don't think the fate of Sting's main forces will be too much more favorable, as Grubby with a nice force field there with the Colossus behind the ramp. Sting realizes this game is over and calls the GG. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this match. I don't know what's wrong with this Sentry right now. I think he's just finishing warping in. That is pretty awesome. You don't see that every day. But wish me luck on my midterm exams in the next couple of days. I'll be back to you when I next broadcast. I will be a free man, and I will be on holiday, and I will bring you a ton of games. Can't wait. Hope you like this one. Goodbye.